It's Reverend Will. I'm the senior minister here at Fulton First Christian Church, and it's my pleasure to welcome to our midweek devotion. Every week about this time, 11 o'clock on Wednesdays, we stop what we're doing and I offer my devotion for the week. This week, we'll get right into it. We're centered around the first verse in the fifth chapter of Paul's letter to the Galatians, where he wrote, "Christ has set us free for freedom. Therefore, stand firm and don't submit to the bondage of slavery again. You have been made free. Through the cross, Jesus' death and resurrection, you've been liberated from the powers of sin and death, the twin powers used by the enemy to separate us from God and from one another. This is the core of the gospel, the good news that we have been freed from being enslaved by these forces hell-bent on bringing us down." Glad that's through. Did you get through that, or did your eyes glaze over while listening like mine did writing it? Even though it's good news, it sounds so incredibly archaic. It's like one of those books way back in the stacks of the library with an inch of dust piled up on top. You open it up and check the little book, if it still has the little checkout thing, and you see it's been, it hasn't been checked out since the 70s. What does this have to do with life here and now? Well, everything. Seriously. People are still generally the same as they were back when Paul wrote his letter. Left to our own devices, well, our devices this side of the fall, we will continue to fall back on the law as our modus operandi. We continue to think that if we live by certain rules, the good life will be ours. That if there are certain structures and scheduling, the world would be as it should be. We allow ourselves to be governed by forces because we think that they will ultimately give us what we want, what we hope for. 10 steps to a healthy work-life balance, 21 ways to have your best summer ever, 7 steps to better sleep. I could go on and on and on of examples of people, including Christians, who think the law will bring them happiness and joy and life and hope and peace and whatever else we dream of when the world seems like it's one big-ass dumpster fire, which is all of the time these days. I mean, certainly I wish there were a set of steps, things I could do in an organized line that would help give women more bodily autonomy and convince others that that is something they should actually want. We slip back into it because we feel like we need just an ounce of control. We want there to be steps we can take to work our way into a better world, create a better life, or become a better person because we need to feel like we are empowered. We do this because we think it frees us from anxiety, hopelessness, or frustration with how the things are or are reverting back to. But really, we are just binding ourselves again. It's a natural state of a broken people living in a broken world. We fall into it as easy as it is for me to heat a whole bag of Kettle barbecue chips. Way too easy. Now, is the role of a Christian to retreat into an enclave and not try and sway society to become more just, to give us a sort of glimmer of the kingdom? No. Do I think there are steps we can take so that our society more reflects the concern and love Jesus showed in his life and death for the least, last, lost a little? Definitely. However, thinking we can force, whether it is through changing ourselves or other people, force our way out of the mire we are caught in, is folly. You can't manufacture motivation. You can't change people's internal mechanisms by telling them to change. It doesn't work like that. Trying to will only breed resentment and frustration. Indeed, we need to lean into the grace and mercy and love of God that we've been given by Jesus. Heck, we've been set free for freedom's sake. It would be a shame if we forgot that simply because it sounds too much like good news from a time long ago. And that doesn't really help us right now. Thanks for joining me this week for our midweek devotion. If you like what you heard, please like and share it with someone whom you think needs to hear it. And you are more than invited to join us for worship on Sunday morning. We gather at 10:30 in person and online, and we hope that you will join us there. But if not, our benediction is the same as always. God be with you till we meet